Paymon who?
Mata Heyday.
Paymon Lata Heyday. Who is he?
Never paid taxes in 30 years. Fought the U.S. tax court and won.
See, I believe our rights come from God, not from government.
Hello, my friends. I'm Paymon Mutahede, the president of Freedom Law School, which I started in 1996. I will show you in this presentation, expose for you how the government has hidden from you the truth about the income tax. Why most Americans are not legally required to file and pay any federal income taxes, all based on U.S. government's official legal websites. That's right. You're going to see the laws as published by U.S. House of Representatives, the 1044 and instructions, U.S. Treasury regulations, and the U.S. Supreme Court. Those are the only legal authorities that we're going to rely on in this presentation. It's going to be a mind blower. It's a bit longer. Hang in there. You may have to watch it, follow up later on to finish it, but it's going to be very eye-opening and empowering you to be free the rest of your life. By the way, I myself have not filed and paid any federal income taxes for over 30 years. IRS knows me very well. I've been at the criminal and other investigations for over 30 years continuously, and here I am, never been in tax prison for not filing and paying federal income taxes openly, because they know, I know, just like most of you, no law requires that people of the 50 states to file and pay federal income taxes. So with that, let's get started. Okay, here we go. This is a 1040 U.S. individual income tax return that most everybody thinks it requires them to file and pay federal income taxes. However, the truth of the matter is this. This 1040 form is not a 50 states individual income tax return, but is a District of Columbia individual income tax return. And to see proof of that, we're going to go to the 1040 form instructions at irs.gov. That's right. IRS is correct when they tell you on page 8 about filing requirements that these rules apply to all U.S. citizens. That's the key word we're going to come back to. U.S. What is the U.S. and who are the U.S. citizens? Okay, regardless of where they live and resident aliens. Okay, with that, now we're going to go to the Congress's website. Okay, this is the United States Code, a consolidation and codification by subject matter of general and permanent laws of the United States, the federal government. It is prepared by the Office of the Law Revision Council of the House of Representatives of the United States. This is the official source of all federal laws. So at uscode.house.gov. So here we are. Everybody knows that Title 26 Internal Revenue Code is the federal tax laws. Well, here it is, folks. I have a copy in my hand. The entire Internal Revenue Code, the Bible of the IRS. About 10,000 pages of tiny font, okay, single-space gobbledygook of confusion. They've deliberately made it so long and complex to confuse you. And the definition are not at the front. They hit them at the back. So before you get to see what this applies to, you just give up and say, CPA, accountant, TurboTax, tax lawyer, just help me out of this confusion so I don't get in trouble with the IRS. That's how they made you feel. And here you will get out of the matrix of IRS deception, so you no longer will be afraid of the IRS, so you no longer will be robbed or slaved. Hang in there, it gets more exciting. Okay, so here it is. Everybody knows that Section 1 of the code is the law that imposes the tax, the income tax. All right, every accountant will tell you that. But here is a regulation, Code of Federal Regulation, which makes it more clear what this applies to. Income tax on individuals is on CFR 1.1-1, Code of Federal Regulation. And it says that Section 1 of the Internal Revenue Code imposes an income tax on income of every individual who is a citizen or resident of the United States. We're going to come back to that United States term, and then we're going to come back later on to the second part and to the extent provided by Section 871B or 877B on the income of non-resident alien individuals. So we're going to focus on the United States part now. The non-resident alien part we're going to come to a little bit later, okay? It's going to be a little bit complex, but hang in there. You're going to find it very empowering for you to be free. So here we are. We're going to go back to Title 26, the Internal Revenue Code, Section 7701, Definitions. It tells us when used in this title. Again, Title 26, folks, the Internal Revenue Code. We're going by the IRS's Bible. This is no some crazy patriot mythology, UCC, sovereign citizen, revocation of election, common law nonsense, sovereignty. This is the law as published on the government's own official legal websites. Okay? So here it is. They define so many terms in this Title 26, Section 7701. But the key one we're going to look at is United States and state. Let's go over state first. And it says that state shall be construed to include the District of Columbia, which is not even a state. But guess what? They can do that. They can add whatever they want to definition of anything they want. You can define things any way you want. Congress certainly can do that, okay? Now, look at the United States. United States, when used in a geographical sense, which what we all of us want to know, includes only the states, which is the District of Columbia, and again, the District of Columbia. So the term United States is only really District of Columbia. Okay, doesn't matter whether you have 1 or 5 or 50,000 District of Columbias. They all add up to nothing but same thing, the District of Columbia. Let's move on now to Supreme Court. Why? Because I know when you see this, you think, oh, Paymont, everybody knows. Obviously, United States and state include the 50 states. It's clearly implied. Any kindergartner knows that, right? Wrong. According to the U.S. Supreme Court, as you shall see. Here is the case, this case of Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Rural Housing Service versus Reginald Kurtz. Okay, this is a unanimous 9-0 case that came out February 8, 2024. Okay, and it tells us this about definitions. Very important. When Congress takes the trouble to define terms it uses, a court must respect its definition as virtually conclusive. Yeah, it's conclusive. They can define it anyway and leave out the 50 states if they choose to. And this court will not deviate from an express statutory or legal definition merely because it varied from the term's ordinary meaning. Yeah. Just because the ordinary meaning of the term is something, it does not mean that Congress has to go by our common understanding of that term. They don't. And the courts are bound, as the Supreme Court says, to only go by what is in that explicit definition. United States means only District of Columbia, and United States citizens for tax laws are only here citizens or residents of the District of Columbia. Let's go into that a little bit more detail. I'm going to give you now a tax case. Yes, Gould versus Gould is a 1917 unanimous tax case which held unanimously, clearly, that the interpretation or understanding of statutes, laws, levying or imposing taxes. So, in understanding laws that impose taxes, it is the established rule not to extend their provision of tax laws by implication or implying beyond the clear import of the language used, or to enlarge their operations of tax laws so as to embrace or include matters not specifically pointed out. So here in Section 7701, you don't see the 50 states, none of them. It simply is not there. You have to go by this definition that Congress give. And the Supreme Court adds this very important warning. If you have any doubts, in case of any doubt, the tax laws, are construed or interpreted most strongly against the government. Not just strongly, but most strongly against the government and in favor of the citizen not being taxed and being tax-free. So that does it, people. Clearly, the federal income tax laws only apply to the District of Columbia. U.S. citizen is a District of Columbia citizen. I'm going to give you guys further examples and proof of this if you still want more. Here it is, because I know it's unbelievable to you. Like, what? This is unbelievable. It can't be. All my life I paid and filed income taxes. It cannot be. I've been lied to all my life. Yes, you were deceived, and the truth was hidden in plain sight, hidden in the middle of all these gobbledygook of tax laws that you were supposed to read. You're supposed to know. Ignorance of the law is no excuse, they say, right? Let's continue. Here's an example I'm going to give you now from, again, Title 26, Internal Code. Okay, we're going to go to Subchapter A, Tax on Petroleum, about oil taxes. Here they mention the 50 states. Look at this. Sections 4612, definitions and special rules. For the purposes of this subchapter, right? Subchapter A, tax on petroleum. Look at this. They have unique definitions for many things, including the United States means, whoa, the 50 states is there. They listed and D.C. and a bunch of U.S. territories. They even added in there for good measure continental shelf areas and even foreign trade zones. You could not assume anything. If they can tax the 50 states, like the oil taxes, they can and do it. But with income taxes, they cannot do it by the Constitution, which is why they never did it that way to begin with, okay? So now, you see, again, I want to talk about this, how these rules apply to all U.S. citizens, right, regardless of where they live, and resident aliens, right? That's what the regulations, IRS publication says. IRS is right, if you understand what the word United States means. Look at the regulation of U.S. Treasury, 1.1-1B. Here's what it says. Citizens or residents of the United States liable to tax. U.S. Treasury says, in general, all citizens of the United States, wherever resident, and all resident aliens are liable to income taxes imposed by the code. See, this mirrors the IRS's 1040 instructions. But the key again is, where is the citizen of the United States for tax purposes? It's District of Columbia citizens only. In fact, if you go further down in this regulation and see who is a citizen, guess what? They say every person born or naturalized in the United States and subject to its singular jurisdiction is a citizen. That's right. Its jurisdiction. Not the 50 countries, 50 states of the Union, but its jurisdiction is a citizen. Again, this is affirmation that it applies only to District of Columbia citizens. Let me elaborate on that per the U.S. Supreme Court. This is the U.S. Supreme Court Hoover and Allison Company versus the Nevada Commission of Tax Revenue in 1945. They said, the term United States may be used in any one of several senses. One, it may be merely the name of a sovereign occupying the position analogous to that of other sovereigns in the family of nations, like America as opposed to Russia, France, Japan, Egypt, that type of thing. Okay? Usually that's what we all think of. Okay? Now, the second thing is the one that the tax laws relate to. It may designate the territory over which the sovereignty of the United States extends. That's right. That's where the federal government is completely God. They could do whatever they want. It's their own country. D.C., technically, it is its own country, okay? Now, it also may be the collective name of the states which are united by the Constitution, the 50 United States. You know, that's the third definition, but the second one is the one they use in federal tax laws. So I'll have to give you guys now a little bit of a history lesson. Hang in there to make sure you really understand this really good, okay? So here we go. I'm going to give you guys a little quick history lesson. America in 1776 was only 13 in the colonies, who became countries or states with only 2.5 million people on horse and buggies, no trains even. And in 1789, okay, after being independent countries for over 12 years, the states created an agent headquartered in Washington, D.C. to be known as a U.S. government. And they delegated 18 specific common functions to this agent, the U.S. government, including common defense, common currency, immigration rules, commerce between states and foreign nations, and so forth. And the countries, the states, kept all other functions and powers to themselves. Here is D.C., folks. The Washington, D.C. was made to be independent of the states so that it would not be put under pressure of any one of the states. You see, it was meant to be primarily, number one, a territory land for the states to work together, have the militia there to protect America from England, who might take the colonies, the states back as colonies of England. That was the biggest purpose of the United States government among all these other functions that they delegated to the new agent federal government. Okay? So here we are. That's why, again, the 10th Amendment of the Constitution was written, that the power is not delegated to United States government by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states or reserved to states, respectively, or to U.S. or the people. See, this is another example of what I mean. The term United States here means the federal government, that which owns D.C. and any lands of territories that it may have. Okay, that's what it is referring to. Now, before we go on, we could define something called, it's a little bit more complex here, but hang in there. You're going to love this. The second part of a Code of Federal Regulations about non-resident aliens, Section 871, okay? Before we get to that, we're going to right now define things like non-resident alien for you, okay? So here we are. Oh, by the way, but before I go on, let me reiterate. So America is not a country. It's 50 countries, states, plus one. Just like France, Germany, Italy are part of the European Union. It's a union they have there, and a few powers they give to the European Union. Same thing here. California, Texas, and Florida are countries just like France, Germany, and Italy are in the European Union. And the federal government here has only certain specific powers. So D.C. is its own country. It's a 51st country, its own country. So the federal tax laws are written for District of Columbia first and foremost. So a non-resident alien means someone who is alien to District of Columbia. Japan, Egypt, Russia, England, Florida, California, Texas are all alien to District of Columbia. And if you don't reside or live in a District of Columbia, you're also a non-resident of D.C. See, so all of us in the 50 states, just like Japan and Germany and Italy and Egypt, are all technically non-resident aliens of D.C., but in certain circumstances, we may have to pay federal income tax. We're going to get into that in a minute, okay? Let's see what that is. So here is Section 7701, definition of resident alien and non-resident alien. Let's go down now to non-resident alien. An individual is a non-resident alien if such individual is neither a citizen or resident of, District of Columbia, or nor a resident of the District of Columbia. So you got to read the law, okay, now, to what it actually means, because it's written in code, deliberately, with specific definitions to confuse you, for you to assume it applies to you when it does not apply to you at all. That's why they're written it this way. So with that, we're going to go now, and one more term, trade or business, is defined in Section 7701 as including the performance of functions of a public office. Whoa, look at that. No commercial business is included, only functions of a federal public office bar was included in there. A judge, FBI agent, government lawyer, congressman. I know this sounds shocking to you. It was shocking to me when I first saw these definitions. But remember, Supreme Court said that's all there is in definitions and no more. No commercial business is involved here. Only doing federal government work is what they're talking about here. With that now, we can go now to Section 871. Okay? 871 is the key code that we saw earlier, the regulations. Okay? Income connected with United States business, graduated rate of tax, imposition of tax. And non-resident alien. That's gobbledygook. Listen, I'm going to give you guys a translation of this thing in this other section because it keeps using a word, United States, function, and trade or business. Let me read this thing to you from a good decoding way right here. Much easier. Section 871. Okay, B. Okay, let's read the very bottom part of this page. You see the paragraph there. A non-resident alien, which is what? Someone not from Washington, D.C. Okay, engage in trade or business, performing functions of federal public office within the United States, within the District of Columbia. During a taxable year shall be taxable as provided in Section 1 or 55 on his taxable income, which is effectively connected with the conduct of a trade or business, conduct of performing functions of federal public office within D.C. That's right. Who owes income tax? And who is that? A federal worker who does his work in District of Columbia. So an FBI agent in Los Angeles, even though he works for the government, he does not owe any federal income tax either. Only the ones that work in there. By the way, in other presentations, I'll show you that if you have real estate in Washington, D.C. to sell it, it applies to that income from a similar property in D.C. as well, but that's another presentation. Okay? Let's go on now to the next part of this presentation. There's a few more things, folks. We're halfway there, everybody. So here we are. Now you see that U.S. is the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., individual income tax return. Okay? This is a great news for you folks, that you don't have to pay this income tax. You don't have to fill out this form at all whatsoever, okay? Our website is freedomlawschool.org. That's where you want to go to take the 7 steps to regain your power and freedom and never again voluntarily pay the Washington, D.C. swamp legally and safely. And if you want, with a guarantee that Freedom Law School provides, click on the gold bar and it takes you through the 7 steps. I'm going to go for you real quick. Follow the law. You just saw right here, the beginning of this issue It's all there. And beside these short videos, these 5 short ones, there's 5 more detailed videos. Like this one is the first of the 5 detailed videos on the law. Because number one, remember, what did we tell you at Freedom Law School? Follow the law as published on U.S. government's official legal websites. No law requires you to file and pay federal income taxes if you're not from Washington, D.C. And if you're not a federal worker that works in D.C., nor do you have any real estate that you sell in D.C. So that you want to be clear by watching these videos, okay? Now, once you do that, then you want to go to step 2, stop signing those 1040 income tax confession form. Don't put the rope around your neck. You do that because, yes, what you do in there, you sign the 1040 form under penalty perjury. That's right. You put the rope around your neck by signing that form. Read that for yourself. You see, oh my gosh, I'll never want to sign that form again in my life. Third, you don't need to be afraid of the IRS, okay, of not filing and paying income tax. You'll be perfectly left alone by the IRS. It's just a Wizard of Oz. They painted for you. Yes, they brainwashed you all your life. You're to be afraid of the IRS, the CPAs, the media, the corrupt churches, folks. They've been deceived. Yes, IRS is bluff. You got to recognize that in step 3. Then in step 4, you see IRS as a lizard, not as monster, and it could be easily beaten. Freedom Law School has done that. None of our students have gone to prison, okay, or lost $1 to the IRS, as long as they keep the Freedom Law School and stop paying income tax with Freedom Law School, okay? And none of them gone to jail either, again, under the same conditions I mentioned to you. Furthermore, now you're going to recognize you don't have to be a slave and pay tribute to its really slavery. No need. All you got to do is write your congressman for free on our website, okay? And if they show you the law that requires you to file income tax, pay it. If they don't show the law to you, don't pay it. And the petitions to that are free, available for your download, mailing by you on our Step 5 question authority. And all of this is 100% free to you. However, some of you say, Payman, I would like an extra ounce of guarantee for you that it will not mess with me. I'll be safe no matter what. For those of you, if you have the spirit of America's founding fathers in you and really serious about freedom, guess what? You have this option available to those of you alone. It's a privilege. That's right. It's called the Restore Freedom Plan. You can join and with 100% protect you if you pitch it a little bit in this fund, and you will not go to prison. IRS will not take any of your money. Always will fully reimburse anything that the IRS takes from you. And lastly, folks, this has been an amazing presentation. I know you're shocked to see all this stuff. Listen, love people in your family, friends, co-workers. I cannot make you free, and you cannot make other people free either. But I share this with you. You can share it with them. Give them a chance to see the truth. They may be afraid to say, oh my gosh, not paying income tax, not filing, roll my eyes, look away in fear. Oh no, don't talk about that. Listen, love them anyways. Give them a chance. Text it to them. Email it to them. Give them our brochure of Freedom Law School for free we have about this issue, okay? Why no law requires 99% of Americans to file and pay income or payroll taxes. Yes, we mail them to you for free, as many of these brochures as you want, to tell them about our 7 steps and help them be free. Have America be free. We're going to get the word out. The Soviet Union collapsed of its own corruption and waste from within. And America, same thing is happening. Doge is finding that the federal government is a bunch of wasteful criminals and lazy federal workers. Why paying your money to these crooks and criminals and lazy people? No law requires you to do so. So stop paying them. You can go to your employer, and our website is a page for free. Yes, that where you can stop the income tax withholding from your paycheck. Yes, go there on the top, on the right here, on the top right, click on the bottom one, free yourself from tax withholding and stop stealing of income tax from your paycheck. The instructions are all there for you for free. So love and share the truth with other people to have you be free, have America be a free country. And what you want to do is on your drive to and from work on our website, freedomlawschool.org. Listen to the videos while you watch the road. Then when you go to work at lunch or home for dinner, put up the videos again, and this time watch and hear, and you're going to see, wow, I'm like Neo in the movie Matrix, plugged in the truth, and he says, I know Kung Fu, does all this martial arts stuff in the movie Matrix, right? You'll be your own Neo. I'm only your Morpheus, taking you to freedom. So, your challenge, you're meant to see this video. Go forward and live a free life and prosperous. Help America be a free country once again as well.